everyone, it's Syrian Girl, long time no see. The Syrian Electronic Army have released Matthew VanDyke's Facebook and email messages that they acquired after they hacked his accounts, and the contents are scandalous. You might remember Matthew VanDyke from some of my earlier videos, the American who fought along al-Qaeda in Libya and tried to make a film in Syria. I'll link previous videos I've done about him below. I'll begin with the most scandalous revelation from his conversations. Matthew VanDyke knew that the rebels had possession of chemical weapons and that they had used them in al-Assal in Aleppo, and he told Eliot Higgins about it, the man who runs the Brown Moses blog, the media's darling self-made weapons expert, whose opinion that the Syrian military were the only ones who were capable of doing a chemical weapons attack, the media and Human Rights Watch parroted. Don't rule out the possibility that rebels have chemical weapons, VanDyke tells Eliot Higgins, who then agrees to keep the information off the record. He goes on to say that he was told by a reliable source the rebels had acquired chemical weapons in Aleppo and that he knew the exact details about the location they were acquired, and that this was weeks before the al-Assal chemical attack on Aleppo, in which Syrian soldiers and civilians were killed. Interestingly, VanDyke and Higgins also discussed having a mutual benefactor. These leaks came out in an inconvenient time for Brown Moses, aka Eliot Higgins, who was busily attempting to whitewash journalist Seymour Hersh's article regarding Obama's lies about the Ghouta chemical weapons attack. VanDyke also told multiple journalists, including one who wrote for Time magazine, the same story, and yet none of these mainstream biased journalists, nor Eliot Higgins, chose to reveal the information or investigate it further. In one conversation, VanDyke says that it is likely the rebels would attack their own people to create a cause for US aerial bombardment. VanDyke's friends began to confirm their conversations with him were real, and Eliot Higgins owned up to his conversation on his Twitter. As a result, VanDyke had no choice but to concede he did make those statements. He even wrote on his Facebook that he made a public post about it to a group of journalists. Yet till this day, no mainstream journalists have questioned him about it, even CNN, that regarded his credibility so highly.
Matthew VanDyke, an amazing piece of video that you put together and shared with us, and we could share with our audience. Thank you so much also for sharing the story.
Thank you.
Another scandal exposed by the leaks, VanDyke and the star of his propaganda film, Noor Kells, tried to cover up a sex tape by plotting to hire the FSA to kidnap a man and threaten his entire family. "I cannot kidnap him from America," VanDyke tells Noor. "Get the FSA to do it. They can keep the ransom money from his family." "He should know that he and his family will be hunted down," VanDyke tells her. In his film, Noor was portrayed as the damsel in distress, and CNN swallowed it up.
With us, there's a moment with one of the interview subjects. Her name is Noor.
I'd rather die. Really, I'd rather die than let them have me.
Immediately after the hack, VanDyke wrote on his blog that the only thing the hackers would find are personal stuff between him and Noor and his dirty sense of humor, tentatively admitting to the conversations. He has since taken down the site. But on his Facebook page, he tried to claim that the Electronic Army edited some of his conversations. When asked to prove this or give example, he claimed the conversation regarding engaging in bestiality with sheep were edited. Then later, in another conversation, he fell back on his original statement that the comments were a dirty joke. In another comment, VanDyke says he stands by all his conversations and that he is not a propagandist, even though throughout his leaked conversations, he talks about making a propaganda film for the FSA. The leaks show him instructing people how to answer interview questions. This shows that he is clearly two-faced, and any claims he makes about the Electronic Army editing his conversations is not to be trusted. On the subject of being two-faced, while VanDyke sings the praises to the so-called revolution in public, in private he believes it to be fake and full of fake people. He states that 70% of Aleppo has turned against the FSA, and according to him, the majority of people in Syria support Assad. He also says that the people on the revolution side of the conflict are worse than on the Assad side. He also talks about hating Syrians and hating Aleppo. I guess there is no honor amongst thieves. The leaks show that he was also very friendly with al-Qaeda. He talks about setting up meetings with al-Nusra and hoping to earn their respect, as well as how Libyan jihadis like him and are an important connection for him. Of course there are al-Qaeda in Libya. There'd better be, he exclaims. If Jabhat al-Nusra wasn't in Syria, there would be no war to fight. Now here's a leak for which my Twitter was censored and then presumably suspended as a result. According to VanDyke, the Syrian support group, an American NGO, was giving money to the FSA to buy weapons. He says it repeatedly to multiple people. This is contrary to what is claimed on their website, that the money is going to non-lethal aid, and contrary to US law. According to VanDyke, the US government knows about this and allows it, because by saying they don't know where the money is going, they can claim plausible deniability. Recently, the aid warehouses were raided by al-Qaeda, so effectively the state has given US taxpayers' money to al-Qaeda. Since they no longer have plausible deniability, they had to suspend the aid and continue it through their Saudi proxies. Now here is the tweet that was mysteriously deleted off my feed. This SSG group was caught negotiating oil deals post-regime. It was hours after I rewrote the tweet that my account was suspended. I would appreciate your support in spreading this news and asking Twitter to unsuspend my account. In 2012, I made a video about VanDyke, letting you know that he was a mercenary. And coordinating Libyans into Syria is US mercenary Matthew VanDyke. I have now been vindicated. The leaks show that he was a part of a new mercenary company in Libya called Resurgit. He stated that Libya is for making money. He seemed to be also bringing other mercenaries with him into Syria. Another thing he brought with him into Syria are Libyans, some of which were brought riding in on aid ships destined from Libya to Turkey, with the help of his Times journalist friend, Steven Sotloff. In one of his comments, VanDyke claimed that my country, with its 7,000 years of history, is not even that old. What a justice that his superiority complex was crushed by the country he disrespected. I hope this serves as a lesson for any other VanDyke-style liberators who want to impose their will on the Syrian people. Thank you all for listening, and to the Electronic Army for the leaks.
Taking through it.
It's interesting that you said old men and cats, and there's a moment where that man walks up to a cat, and he says, and I wrote it down here, he says, maybe Americans care about this cat more than the Syrian people. How do the Syrians view Americans' decision thus far not to intervene in Syria?